Hello, everybody out there in the universe. This is C Square from the Invisible Wires podcast. I'm proud to announce our first Invisible Wires podcast sponsor, and it's Justin Pizzuli, licensed realtor with the Real Estate Gallery in the states of Ohio and Kentucky. Justin has 10 years of experience. He has a 5-star rating on Zillow. I recently bought a home without a realtor, and boy, did it get hairy. But the seller and I had many awkward moments. Things got real foggy and confusing. They thought I said one thing, I thought I said another. I was handling things via email. It was with an elderly lady, and I didn't want to be mean, so it was very, I wish I would have had a realtor then. And buying through Justin Pizzuli, using him as the in-between, it's never been so easy. And you don't need to take it from me. A recent client said concerning Justin is prompt and respectful and charismatic. Justin is, he's no high-pressure salesman. Instead, he is thoughtful and thorough. He highlights the positives and the potential of the properties as opposed to like strong-arming someone into making an offer. And he's just generally fun to talk to, which makes him an even better seller's agent and an approachable buyer's agent. This former client goes on to say, if I were to sell my home or buy another, Justin Pizzuli would be the first man I would call. So that's a customer review, already satisfied customer. Another benefit of Justin is he's one good-looking dude. I mean, if you want a hot realtor, he's the guy to call. You don't want some ugly, smugly realtor. You want, someone represents you that is aesthetically pleasing. So now's the time to list, as homes are recently selling up to 10% more than market value. And Justin follows all the National Association of Realtors COVID safety precautions. He'll wear a mask. I've even seen him once. He was wearing a hazmat suit to show a house. And it just means Justin just goes the distance. So if you're looking for a domicile that you and your family can enjoy for years to come and looking for a great buying or selling experience, call Justin Pizzuli at 740-464-7283. That's 740-464-7283. It is in the states of Ohio and Kentucky. You can go to the Real Estate Gallery website. It's realestategallery.biz. That's realestategallery.biz. You can see a picture of him there. You can also contact him at thepizzuli@gmail.com. That's THEPIZZULLI@gmail.com. Again, Justin, thank you so much for sponsoring the podcast, and I now give you Invisible Wires.
Welcome, friends, colleagues, strangers, to Invisible Wires.
Okay, everybody.
Shall we begin?
Here we are. It's one of those days. It's one of those days where you're in a place.
Yep.
That you're looking for meaning.
Yeah, it's one of those days. It's like a lot of Easter talk and stuff this time of year.
A lot of Easter talk.
As people looking for meaning.
I think it does. Did you guys see that meme I sent you that said, I guess it's hard to explain.
Bro, we thought you were dead.
Bro, we thought you were dead. Yeah, you boys got an Advil? Jesus saying it. It's funny. I mean, Jesus wasn't impervious to pain. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he felt the pain. So he might need an Advil. I mean, I guess the point is he was totally restored after he rose from the grave. He still had the scars.
little sore like I am 3 days after.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's 3 days after I get completely punished.
Yeah.
I wonder if like Adam and Eve's body hurt ever, like before.
Oh yeah, just.
I mean, if you
general
believe
pain.
they were real people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just you got to buy into they were real people.
If the storybook is legit.
If the storybook is, yeah, you gotta. I don't know.
We just lost some sponsorships there, I'm sure.
that Christian bookstore that Christian bookstore sponsorship we had.
I think all that battery talk about the other Adam and Eves from a couple episodes past might take care of that.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that's for sure. It's such an awful thing to call a novelty shop Adam and Eve.
It was the first married couple, so I guess I could say it's marital age, but we all know what's going on there.
I guess it's forbidden fruit is what I always thought that's what it meant.
There was where I used to live up in Ohio many moons ago. There was a place that sold that type of thing plus like bongs.
So they were
bongs and dongs stores.
Bongs and dongs.
You can edit that out later.
That's what it was.
Yeah, but that wasn't the name of it. That's what everybody affectionately started calling.
That would be a good name for it. Just say what it is.
Yeah, I mean, this was a time frame when, let's say, waterbeds were still relevant, put it that way. Because if you ever went to an old waterbed store, they would sell, like stuff like, let's say, prosthetic sheep animals.
Oh, okay.
They would. Novelty items like that. I don't know where that.
I don't understand
into marital aid, but
I don't understand why waterbed. It's not very conducive to what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I think it was because of the
motion of the waterbed.
Yeah, they were trying to, key in.
Can you get hypothermia from laying in a waterbed that's not heated?
I would think so.
I wonder if there's anybody who's ever died. And hypothermia.
Well, if it's cold enough, it'd be instead of waterbed, it'd be an ice bed, right?
I wonder if anybody has lost heat and their waterbed froze. And
I don't think it would be that quick. It would be too cold to sleep on before it got to a mortality rate, I would think.
I mean, what if you were like blacked out drunk or something?
Yeah. I know, like, because I had one.
You had a waterbed?
Yeah. And the, like the heating element, if you will, the pad just laid underneath the mattress in the bottom, just right against the sheeting board, more or less. OSB board.
This is an article from Medicine and Healthcare and Medical Students. This guy's name's Shapatrapapapi Shashu G. Mahara. That's a university, I think. Anyway, it sounds prestigious. Anyway, he says, can you get hypothermia from waterbed? Yes, you can. You can say it's possible. Normal body temperature is around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, duh, yeah. Hypothermia occurs as your body temperature falls below 95 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that's true.
When your body temperature drops, your heart and nervous and other organs can't work normally. Hypothermia can eventually lead to complete failure of your heart and respiratory system, eventually to death.
It was like because the shivers on once you get below 91, you quit shivering or something like that. So.
It is caused by exposure to cold weather or immersion in cold water.
Because there's like like when I was in ICU or working ICU, they found out. I think it seemed like it was University Pittsburgh, Pitt.
PIT.
Yeah, but they did like a hypothermia. There was something to do with like there are certain candidates that they would do that had a heart attack that they would drop their temperature rapidly because
They would try to give you a heart attack?
No. Like they would treat
Heart attacks because they were below 91 degrees.
Yeah, hypothermia therapy. They would chill the patient down below. I was thinking it was
They did it on
below,
purpose to help them.
Yeah, because it's like one article I read on it, I compared it to, because I try to branch things over into like the mechanical world to just help me grasp it. But say like you got a dead car battery, and as soon as you click it and it's dead, and you try clicking again and it's dead, but then you leave it alone for 20 minutes and you'll get a little bit out of it.
So,
I don't like a surface charge, I guess, if you will. And it was saying like the way they were running codes for the people that had these kinds of heart attacks, I guess, were they were giving them oxygen right away, and then so when they were doing resuscitating on 100% oxygen and compression, stuff like that, they were dumping their cells, were sandbagging their oxygen and stuff until things were better. Well, then they dumped all their, what your cellular filtration set up to do, dumping all that waste at one time, and so they would lose people in codes. And I think that's why they reworked like ALS, BLS protocols too, like fewer respirations.
So they would wait longer, so it would build up some.
When you cool somebody down like that, their O2 demand drops. So there's a curve they talk about.
It says if you sleep on a waterbed without heat and without a well-insulated mattress cover, you risk hypothermia. Make sure that your waterbed's room temperature and to maintain your waterbed and everything and all. Okay, well.
Seems like you would get uncomfortable before that set in, though. I mean.
It said you'd have to do it almost all night for it to happen. Okay, well, that's just a public service announcement for those with waterbeds to really watch your room temperature. And, so what's the deal with, I've been taking these cold showers for about 6 months. And so I'll take a hot shower, wash the old pits and such.
Right.
And then this guy, Wim Hof, he's like a guru or something. He's about deep breathing, and I'm going to have to deep breathe when I say it. And he says to work up to 2 minutes. And I've worked up to 2 minutes. Now this depends how, what mood I'm in, but it's crazy how it makes me feel. It'll make me feel more awake. And they say that it awakens your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve?
Vagal nerve, yeah.
Vagal nerve.
Or vagal response, vagus nerve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it does make a difference in my mental acuity. And it does help me feel...
Sorry, let me interject a quick question, because the vagus response typically slows down your heart rate and stuff. So you're saying that's what the cold water is supposed to do?
I'm calmer afterwards. Less pain.
Okay.
More focused for at least an hour. Then I just drink a bunch of caffeine and...
Probably less anxiety too then if you're vagaling down, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it makes a difference. It's... And you get used to it. It's like... At first, it was like... I started doing it after my car wreck 5 years ago because I just couldn't... I just brain fog, So I started doing it again this last year. And I was like... I just... It's a habit now. I just turn on the cold... Sometimes I don't go to full 2 minutes. But...
Right.
But it does make a difference. I mean... I'm interested when I open up the pool, if I jump in early in the morning, what it'll do.
Oh yeah,
just because it'll be cold.
Double cold turkey.
It's not a. It does make me feel better. It's not comfortable, but I think you kind of do have to be uncomfortable to kind of. I think we're addicted to comfort, sometimes. Would you say you're addicted to comfort?
I would.
I think
be quick to concur on that.
Yeah, we're addicted to. Let's take back the word addictive. Let's say it's called. We're prone to comfort, we're seeking comfort. So Like that's what I guess exercise is the same way. I guess abstaining from certain foods is the same way.
But it's just kind of, well, exercise in the same way. You get to a certain point and it causes a cellular waste dump. So you're detoxing by exercising. And so you get an endorphin effect. Am I saying that right? Because you're the exercise guy in this room.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how hard you exercise. I think that you have to really exert yourself to really get. I mean, a good walk will be
can get you there.
Can get you there, but running is another story. I mean, running, you run a good 3-4 miles. There's no high like it. I mean, you get rid of a lot of stuff. Like even if you go to the sauna and sweat, like I was in the other day for 40 minutes. And the only reason I was in there 40 minutes because I was talking to this guy and he was telling me his life story. I felt bad about leaving. Like he just started opening up to me. And this older guy, and he started telling me his whole life story, which was fascinating. But I felt amazing afterwards. I was like, oh gosh, because I wouldn't have stayed in there because it's hot. I mean, it's hot.
Yeah.
They say there's a cold shock protein. I've heard a lot of Joe Rogan talks about it, and I've read about it that you produce after you're in a sauna like that, and it helps your HGH and all your that kind of stuff to be in a hot sauna like that. But you have to go in there for a while.
So you probably sleep in phase 3 or stage 3 more if you're releasing HGH too. Just a footnote, not that.
I take this stuff called humano growth. It sounds bad, but it's supposed to help with growth hormone because I'm trying to heal from all these injuries. So I sleep so much better in it with I take this stuff. That my hair grows faster when I take it too. It's crazy. It's
really?
Yeah. I mean, I can tell a difference when I do take it and I don't. I don't know if it's making. I mean, it's not like real HGH. I mean, if you really take real stuff, I mean,
that kind of ties back just to double back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the cold hypothermia treatment, but it's like when you hear about kids that were submerged under icy water for like 7 minutes and
right.
get them back with virtually no deficit and stuff. And it kind of kids have a lot more human growth hormone. That's sleep studies. They and kids would have a lot higher percentage of stage 3 sleep, which is supposedly when your body drops HGH.
Right.
And
so stage 3.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering.
Where's that in relation to REM sleep?
REM's they call it its own thing, but I guess it's like technically you could say it's the 4th stage. I mean, stage 1 is
give us a rundown.
Kind of like stage 1 is you're kind of drifting off. I mean, but you could be, easily aroused, but you're having, lucid gray kind of.
Okay. It's stage 1
and stuff.
Okay.
Starting to drift off. Stage 2 is like is where you're at most of the time, and then stage 3, you actually grow out of that. Like say a person that's 80 or 90 years old won't have any stage 3 sleep, and then REM is your rapid eye movement. Your brain's kind of robbing all.
So
your
stage 3 is the HGH stage.
Yep.
So would you eventually grow out of that? You don't even go into that stage.
Yeah.
Would you skip and go to 4?
Yeah, it's just 1, 2, and REM.
So
and
you don't.
If adults have, like your dreaming occurs in REM,
right?
But if you're having parasomnias like sleepwalking and stuff like that, like kids do, that's generally in 3.
Huh.
But your brain waves in stage 3 are like if you're looking at a sound wave on the mic.
Right.
Okay. Say if those were not a spiky, like you spread it out, and it would look like shark teeth, and then or like saw blade teeth, and then
so that's the brain
3,
wave.
It looks like guitar picks on the same line. That big delta wave. I mean, your brain is just kind of, and it's firing everywhere at the same time, All lobes are they're
At 3.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not in sync with each other. But that's probably too much tech talk for the general audience we're going for.
No, I mean, you've got general knowledge in sleep because you used to be a sleep technician, so most people don't know that. I mean, so I didn't know you grew out of stage 3. Honestly, I didn't know that you grew out of it. What if you could? So if you take HGH, do you go into?
That's a pretty long timeline to not having stage 3 too. That's why I said like you're probably looking at like 80, 90 years old before, or,
Oh, okay.
80 years old, and then you won't.
So you got to be like
3.
really old, okay?
But a kid will could be in stage 3 quarter of the time, like 5 and under, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Then they're going to be actually they could even be more.
So you're like really old when it goes away, though.
Yeah, I mean your body doesn't drop.
Is that why old people sleep less?
Could be because they don't have a need for that stage.
What if they got more? If they could be put into that stage, could they live longer?
Boy, that's a buddy. That would be a good question.
You'll have to have somebody in and talk about that. I mean, sleep's very important. I mean, it's way more important than people give it credit for. Like I hate sleeping.
But you don't metabolize as much to, downstream. So it's like, I think that's part of the reason you don't sleep as much either. But
when you're older, you mean?
Right.
What did you say the main problem is with what people, you find out why the people don't sleep. Okay.
Well, in Appalachia, we all got 18-inch necks or better. So we don't breathe when we sleep.
Are you saying that people are overweight usually?
Well, that's one of the risk factors. Heart problems like chronic blood pressure, something like that, AFib, something like that. When you put them on a CPAP for sleep apnea, now a lot of times that positive pressure, that increased interthoracic pressure will push them into a respiratory pattern called Cheyne-Stokes, which is
Cheyne-Stokes.
Yeah, it's spelled CHEYNE dash how you would imagine Stokes spelled. And STOKE.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's like, say like if you're looking at our audio lines on the mic
right,
line, and you just have a flat line, it would be silence, and then amplitude of peaks would ramp up and then ramp back down, and then flatten again. Whereas normal person breathes so many times a second, kind of in a regular.
Be more steady. You're saying, okay.
But they'll breathe like 6 times a minute, and it kind of crescendos and then decrescendos.
What do? You tell them to lose weight?
At that point, you like per house protocol where I worked, you would flip them to like BiPAP with a rate, because you were testing for a CPAP. That positive pressure kind of induced that because it.
You give them more oxygen. Is what you're saying?
Not necessarily. You just get more pressure. You ramp them up, trying to get them past sleep.
How do you do that?
Well, say like
how do you give more? How do you give more pressure? What does the machine do?
A CPAP is that's what.
Oh, they have. Oh, okay.
Positive airway pressure. Well, you can have Cheyne-Stokes without being on a machine too. I mean, it's.
So you're basically they have a CPAP on.
Yeah.
And you give them more oxygen.
And you can kind of push them into that Cheyne-Stokes respiration because that extra
it's
pressure
breathing for
on
them
your inside.
It's breathing for them, kind of.
Yeah, it kind of ticks off one of your ventricles.
Oh,
and then that way your O2 CO2 washout is thrown off, and then so you get this weird breathing pattern.
Huh? So you can. So basically, it's about breathing.
Yeah. So you flip them to a mode that's going to pipe in so many breaths per minute anyway.
That's crazy.
Even to their unconscious cells. So you try to, you get them up to around 10 or 12 breaths a minute, ideally.
So, gosh, I could go into that forever. How many breaths a minute? Like, I think breathing's I think sometimes like breathe. I did this exercise recently and it says this may be boring. I don't know, whatever, but like where I broke my third rib, like 2 years ago, I have a hard time breathing sometimes. Just hurt. It hurts. So I've been doing this thing where I blow all my air out to my belly, and then I watched some YouTube video, and it says blow all of it out and then bring your stomach in. So like, when you bring your stomach in at the same time. And it's crazy. It like helps lower back problem. But it's like a muscle we don't use. Like think about, like, unless you're really exercising, you're not really blowing out that hard. You're just kind of passively, you know what I mean? And you breathe from your chest. So if you blew your belly, I use that. It's kind of interesting. I'm talking about that because that's what we teach kids who get trauma. Like, who are, they have PTSD. We teach them how to breathe again. So how to get and what I've done in the past is, and help kids with anger too, is I'll give them a heart monitor, a wristwatch, and they'll notice. I'll say, watch and see how high you are when you get angry. So the kid will get angry and we'll write down this kid's at 130 beats a minute, 150. A kid can get to 150 beats a minute pretty easy.
Yeah.
And then they bring it down to like 110, by breathing slowly. So it's teaching them to.
Well, deep breathing will trigger that vagal response too. I mean, that's that's one of the things. It's like one of the first things you try when somebody's in a certain bad heart rhythms. And you'll tell them to take a deep breath and hunker down, and that increased cranial pressure will press on that vagus nerve, get a vagal response, and that drops their heart rate.
I think
so that deep breathing kind of keys in.
Scientific that we just need to learn how to breathe again.
Yeah.
Like if you're having anxiety, it's because of your thoughts, but you can take control of your body and just bring it down, bring it down.
What I do now, I wear earplugs a lot, doing what I do now. Go figure. But
so it seems like a good idea when you're blowing stuff up. It seems like it's advised.
That's one thing. It's like sometimes I'll listen to myself breathe.
Because you have the earplugs on.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of
you can hear it better.
Tuning out a lot of stuff, but it's that makes me think. And not to play to the competition, but Rogan talks about how when he runs, that he used to listen to music when he ran, but he got away from it because he wanted to be able to hear himself breathe.
It's a different story when you run without headphones, for sure. Like when I did the Bourbon Chase, you weren't allowed to wear headphones because people were hit by, because it's on main roadways and such, and they didn't want people. And I had to. Sometimes I would sneak and get some Bluetooth or something, have a headband on or something. But when I had to just me in an open road, you can almost control, okay, how much output am I putting? Am I going to be able to make it to the end of this? Because you can kind of, it's almost see how much gas you got. You can kind of hear that. And I haven't ran for a while, but it's kind of your pace, and learning how to breathe out of your nose. There's these Native Americans, and I've heard this on a lot of podcasts, but they would, the trick they would do is they would put water in their mouth and they'd run
and not swallow
and then
keep their mouth closed the whole time.
Yeah. Which I've tried that, and I heard that Dave, Kelly's dad, used to do that all the time. It's a Native American thing. I don't know, to rite of passage or something, but I think it's hard because you got to breathe just through your nose. But I've broken my nose. This is a nose job, by the way. Because
so you're not deviated or anything like that?
I'm deviated for sure.
You still are.
I got hit with a hockey stick. I was playing roller hockey as a kid, and this guy kept hitting me with a stick, and I said, "Come on, dude!" This time, I said, "Come at me this time." So I was pretty good at roller hockey, and I juked him around, but he wasn't trying to get the puck or the ball or whatever. He just took a aluminum stick and bashed me in the nose. And I got up, and I was much better at skating than him, so he had such a disadvantage. I was like, dude, you better get that guy out of here. I'm going to take all you guys. It was crazy. So I looked we were near the bus garage at the Russell High School. And I looked at the mirror, those big mirrors there at the bus. I don't know why they have big mirrors at the bus garage. I think it's like to get into the place. I don't know. So I looked at my nose, just like, it was just bad. Wow. Yeah. And so they did I had like a cast on my nose for like weeks. It was a Ninja Turtle Band-Aid. I remember.
How old were you?
I was like 15 or 16 or something like that, maybe 15.
That's
and then I had surgery on it at Bellefonte Hospital.
I'm just saying that's kind of old to be rocking Ninja Turtle.
I know. I think that was after I got the surgery. I remember I had the surgery. It's the first time I had ever been on any kind of drug. And I remember being like, I was on Demerol or something.
Oh.
And I was like, and my friend comes in, he goes, Chris, this is God. Like he came in, but I remember they did a good job on my nose, but I still can't breathe. I've hit my nose many more times after that, but there is the right nostril, I think, is a little messed up, but I don't, when they go in and they fix your nose, I thought about getting it fixed, but your nose is bigger usually. Have you ever like seen people get their nose worked on? It's like they make your nose wide. I don't know. It's like, I'm not into that. Because they go in and like clean it out. And I don't know if they make, maybe my nose isn't that messed up or something. I don't know. I don't know why I went on that, but I mean, it's anyway, roller hockey was fun.
I bet that was a blast. I really didn't get into hockey, which I wouldn't technically say I'm into it. But, as I started to get out of my 20s into my 30s, I could watch like the playoffs because I had some cousins that followed Red Wings and stuff like that. And
where is this when you lived in where?
Just I can't remember where it was at the time. I think it was pre the Columbus team. Yeah, so it's not any really
the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
Well, then Detroit was closest.
Yeah, and they were
big.
They were legit.
They were big back then.
Yeah.
Who did they have? That one Russian dude.
Chelios was when I started kind of watching.
I thought Chelios was on the Blackhawks.
No, he had a restaurant in the old Detroit, as far as I remember.
I thought Chris Chelios was on the Blackhawks.
Maybe I might have this sideways. We'll look it up.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up. You got to be right about hockey. We can't get hockey wrong.
But I would watch playoff hockey just because of, like I said, I had some cousins that followed Wings, and then I got to where I didn't like any of the Western Conference teams, and then a lot of I didn't care for New Jersey, or I really wasn't big on the Flyers till I hung out in Philly and watched the game one time, in a sports bar. It just felt like it could have been a scene out of Rocky or something like that. But
dude, he was on Montreal Oilers from 83 to 1990. And then he was in Chicago Blackhawks from 1990 until 99. And then he was in Detroit. You're right.
Okay. So
and then he finished his career off.
I was saying he had a restaurant down towards Monroe.
Is there a team in Atlanta?
Yeah. Gosh, I should know this, but anyway, getting back to where I was going.
Sorry.
No, it's like I'm not a tremendous hockey fan, but it's like the show Letterkenny has kind of got me a little bit back interested in it, but it's just for their scenes. I mean, that's some of the funnier stuff.
It's a great sport. I mean, I love it. I wish I lived in a place that had hockey when I was younger. Because dude, it was like it was the best. I've never been better at a sport than roller hockey, and that's such a stupid thing to say. It's like so useless. If I live in Ashland, Kentucky, but I had to replace my mom's garage door because I hit it so many times with a hockey ball. Like I just loved it. We played at the high school. We started a league at the Garden Roller Rink. And my team was the Firebirds. And then we had the team that was older than us was the Road Melons. And then there was Roadkill. That was another team. And Roadkill was kind of the team. And if Roadkill listens to this, you guys were not as good. You guys were just a bunch of bullies. And there's another team too. But it was like, we'd go to the Garden Roller Rink and we had a league. And I had line changes. I designed the line changes. Of course, I made myself the center.
Short shifts, huh?
Yeah, it was a fun time. But we had all the hockey equipment on. It was just on rollerblades. It was Roadkill, the Firebirds, which Firebirds was like was a cool name. That's not road melons. They were good, but I got in fights with people.
Oh,
Hence the broken nose.
Shedding tarps, huh?
It was, and then it went on without me because I got interested in girls, I think, and stopped playing. Like,
I'm glad you moved on from the Ninja Turtles. That's all.
Yeah, the Ninja Turtles was at the end. I'm going to talk about Ninja Turtles. That was at the end of when I stopped playing with toys. Like, I got the Ninja Turtle toys, and then I was like, I don't want. Did you have that moment when you're playing with toys and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
It's a sad day.
Oh, it's like the first time you go to a dance party at somebody's house or something like that. Yeah, when you're all just like church kids and something like that, and you're like, there are girls there, and you're like,
yeah,
okay, G.I. Joe is.
Yeah, no, mine was
not my hero.
I had G.I. Joe or Ninja Turtles or something in my hands, and I was like looking at myself, like, what? I'm make believing with these little dolls. What am I doing? Like, I thought, because you would make a G.I. Joe like battle, and you would like take a blanket and throw it down, and that was all the little trenches.
My older brother, man, he used to choreograph all these fights. Back then we just had the little wax green, plastic,
right?
Green Army guys, and we had like, like the little bricks, like a standard brick home, and we had a pile of those, like on our property where Dad would build like a grill or something like that out of, these bricks, and he'd stack them up to where it was like this fort, and he'd coordinate it and have sound of sound effects and everything, and it was just like, but it's like, yeah, and then you come to a point, it's like, man, this isn't cool anymore.
This is kind of
let's go play basketball, kids.
yeah, I played a lot of basketball, but it's like, I had a friend, he would play G.I. Joe. I'd play with him, and he would play competitively, like he was trying to beat me at G.I. Joe. Like, how do you say who wins? Like, of course, he always won. My guy killed your guy. I saw the bullet.
See this guy standing right here. He had that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He ended up being a lawyer, which is interesting, because he'd always make up rules to every game we played. That's not the rules.
Did his last name begin with an F?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to say his name on here. He was actually, he's an okay guy.
Me neither. I didn't. That's why.
He is a lawyer now, though. I mean, makes up his own rules, I guess. I don't know. But he was, I don't know, it was just weird. Him and I had fist fights and stuff. Like, it was over, we play wiffle ball and have a fight. One time I hit him with a wiffle ball bat.
He was just that uber competitive.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. One time we got in a fight. He ran at me during this wiffle ball game, and he ran at me real hard. And there's this other girl. There's another girl watching us or something. I don't know why. And she thought I had a real bat. And I hit him with the bat, the wiffle ball bat. And she was like, "Oh my God, you hit him with them!" And then he had braces. I ended up punching him, and I tore his mouth up. And because my babysitter told me to punch him next time we get in a fight, because we never really punched each other. It was always just like wrestling around. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I don't know why I remember that, but it was just
It's one of those things.
I read this quote.
With you as a kid.
Speaking of broken noses, I have this quote. I mean, it's in this podcast. What it is, it's just random. This is random, just train of thought type stuff. You know what I mean? George Orwell said that to see what's in front of one's nose requires a constant struggle. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? To see what's in front of one's nose is a constant struggle.
It's harder to grasp things that should be obvious to you than,
Okay.
There's one take on it.
Okay, it's one take.
I think there's 2 or 3 more out there, but they've not come into my focus yet.
I took it as to focus on the current moment. But I think you're right, too. I mean,
No, that's right. That could be You know, like I said, that's 3 different ways. You know, that's pretty profound. So I could go.
Which George Orwell, and he was pretty, But, I think oftentimes I'm always thinking about what could be or what was or what things should be. And that causes me anxiety. That causes me to be in gridlock and not get anything done,
Yeah, yeah.
Like overthinking things to a point where nothing happens in my life, which if nothing happens in my life, it's okay. I'm safe. I have a house to live in, but oftentimes I know that seeing like the present moment is the hardest. That's how I took it. But I think it's interesting how he framed that even back then. I mean, had to be the 60s or 70s. He said that. I don't know when he died, but he wrote 1984.
Could be a note. Yeah, like you're saying, 1984. I mean, how fragile everything is, but it doesn't feel like it until it just turns to crap.
Yeah,
going back to the
yeah,
January 6th or World War II or whatever example you want to pull out. That how the current scheme of things can be reworked a lot of times to the bad. And if you're not aware of what's in the moment, like you said.
Yeah, like if you're relying on facts that are like I think it's interesting that we create our own reality in our mind. Like our own reality is our mind. Like you could have a totally crappy day.
Well,
Go ahead.
This isn't a religious discussion as much as an observation, but it's like I think that's part of the reason why you have Christianity as a blanket, and you can do this with any major religion too. But they have sect kind of agendas, if you will.
You mean religions?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like Christianity has an umbrella.
Okay.
And then you got Catholicism or you got and Pentecostal, but it's like whatever supports kind of what feels right to you, and the guy that's the best speaker takes off with it. I'm dumbing it down way too much, and it's that it sounds really ugly, but I'm just saying, I think there's something to be said for that.
Be more specific. I mean, just put it out there. It's not a big deal.
Let's see. Let me.
Maybe not super specific. I don't care. Whatever you want to do.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, it's like, okay, going back to when the slave trade started.
Okay.
And you had all these people that became slave owners,
right?
That were religious and stuff like that.
Right. Okay.
And then there was a case of the woman that won freedom for her and her child because she said, no, I've been baptized, and it says you can't be a slave and be a Christian or something like that. And she won it. She won her slavery or won her freedom in court and stuff like that. And then they reworked the law to where it said, well, the Bible has slavery in it. It says you can't slave for 2 masters.
Wow, that was why that happened?
So it's like they could,
when was that? Do you know?
Well, somewhere in the last 450 years, I guess.
So it was during slavery?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she used the Bible to get herself to not be a slave, but then they switched it around.
But they reworked their agenda to support their agenda.
Yeah, I mean...
and I think that's why you have all these different,
so you're saying religions or governments or whatever will rework...
We like Pepsi. We like Coke.
Yeah, so they'll just... Oh, I agree with that. I mean, we justify all kinds of things. And the Bible's been used to justify slavery forever.
Yeah.
Say slaves in the Bible. No, don't treat your slaves bad. Like it says that. And Paul says that. I mean, in his letters. But I think he wasn't promoting slavery, in my opinion. It was like, okay, there's slaves. Of course, sometimes being a slave was better than not being one because you had a place to sleep, to eat, you had stuff to eat. You know what I mean? Like, especially in the Bible days, like, I don't even know. I mean,
well, yeah, like if you go to the example, like, I don't think it was an actual count. It was just like and not a parable. What's the terminology I'm looking for here?
Parable.
Just an example, but it was saying that the master was going out of town. He gave
the parable.
Slave so much
gold. The parable, yeah. One of them put it in the ground. One of them.
Yeah, one of them made some money with it.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're my boy."
Yeah.
Good job, Blue.
Yeah. And,
I was like, "Hey, man, I took care of this for you. It didn't go anywhere. Nobody got it. It's right here waiting on you." And he's like,
I think
daggone, man.
Yeah, I think that parable is more about. That parable is about like what you do with what God gives you.
Right, you're right. The moral of the story is to try to be efficient, I guess, or useful.
To do something with what God gives you is what that, like don't waste. Don't just bear. It's almost like don't hide your light under a bushel type of thing. That's what I think it means personally.
Unless you do DMT first.
Unless you do DMT.
Like Moses did, right?
Yeah.
Acacia root.
I was talking to my sponsor this week, and I went out to eat with him, and we spent 3 hours, and he had this chart that he made, and it was like all the layers of heaven and reality, and I mean, it was. I might have him in here because it is levels of stuff.
Wow.
And go ahead.
Just in that second, it sounds very deep.
Oh, dude, like he had reference numbers to when. Like all of time, he kind of summed it up in this one piece of paper. And then he had this other thing, and he said he talked about the two Hebrew. I actually got a copy of it. There's two types of spirit. There's two types of wind or breath in the Bible. It's ruach, which is Hebrew, meaning large breath, and Nushashana, which is small breath. And he says, we as people are small breaths, and God's the big breath. And he breathed reality into us. Mm-hmm. And he starts getting into quantum physics and stuff. I'm not sure I can totally even explain this, but he said that there's scripture in Job, and I'm going to have to find it. And it talks about it says, if God chose not to breathe, that we would all die. And I was like, jeez, because he's the big breath and we're the small breath. So, it was like, but the point is that for people who believe in God, that he is what keeps us sustained and living. And there is a scripture in Acts that says, for in him we live and breathe and have life and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, he just took it to a whole nother level. For me, when I hear that, let's take it out of the Bible context. Let's take it out of religion. Let's talk about spirituality maybe. It's like, I got to stop. I used to think that all of reality and existence, like it was encapsulated in me, myself. But there's got to be for me, it's like there's something higher and bigger than me that is sustaining me and getting me through stuff. Like, I think that there has to be, like, there's a lot of higher powers than me. The government, more powerful than me. Huge companies, more powerful than me. I mean, there's a lot of things more powerful than me. Yeah. So I don't know. I just really, I'm kind of meditating on it, and I'm just like, for me, it kind of takes a weight off me, because sometimes I feel like life's too much. There's too much to maintain. There's too many expectations from others and all that kind of stuff. And so maybe I'm just trying to bring it down to how is that applicable? How can I apply it? I don't know.
That kind of makes you think of so I used to listen to a lot of Art Bell back in the day, because it was on when I'd be driving home from work.
Uh-huh.
And I remember this one guy talking about, like in the Bible, the big G and the little G, and what he was talking about was like when you come across, and like the KJV, it's like Lord, and it's all uppercase, but it's the text size of LORD is the same. It's all big.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come to Lord in other places where it was Lord it was all uppercase, but the L was
lowercase,
bigger.
Oh, okay.
Than the ORD, but they were still all uppercase. And he was saying, like, that's like because the God that we answer to, like the Father, no, this is just this guy's.
Yeah,
talking.
that's Art Bell.
I'm not. Yeah, okay. Thank you. But it was like he was saying, but the one that created Jesus is, he quickly called him Big G and Little G, like big God, little God. But
Right.
It was like Jesus and us, we answered to Little G, and then the guy that ran all the galaxies and all that stuff. Like there was God's creator, which was a bigger level God, bigger boss, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, and that kind of resonated to me. Like, you just have to wonder, like, if there is a grand creator of all things, how many levels deep it goes, just like, and even going downward, like to the cellular atomic level, how many levels, subatomic particle. I mean, it seems like there's infinity in both directions there.
I think that the point that we can really take from that is that reality is bigger than we know, and it's not everything we see, smell, hear, and taste. Like the reality is beyond our sight and our senses. Like you ever feel something and you're just like, I don't know. It's not a sense. It's I don't know. I don't know. There's a
almost like I wouldn't say a calling either, but it's like there's something that like raises an eyebrow, saying I think there's something more to this.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah, it seems like you can go one way, you can go the nihilistic way, or there's no point to all this. I mean, I can go that way once a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's like a spectrum throughout the day, like you said. Yeah, especially you drive around too, different parts of this state and that state. I do the same thing. I just coming home from some out of town yesterday, and it's just like sometimes stuff hits you. It could be a negative thought, and you go one direction, and then something happens. Say the Reds win, and you go the other direction.
Yeah.
I mean, for me,
I think age is a thing, because you and I are, middle age or nearing middle age, whatever you want to call we are. I guess we're middle age, and we've already lived life, and we've been in love, we've been out of love, we've been heartbroken, we've been, we've felt a lot of things, we've tasted every food. There's not a lot of things. Okay, let's just go down to like what I eat. There's not a lot of things I eat that I'm like, where did this come from? This is insane. What a different thing. I've never.
Yeah.
I would have to go to another country to really taste anything different, probably.
This is cutting edge calorie intake.
Yeah, like there's some stuff that you're just like, when you're younger, things are new. Like even disappointment or even success, and it's like. Then when you get older, it's kind of like you're used to things, and you start to get used to life, and there's part of me that kind of gets bored with it, like it kind of like, what's the point of this, or if I get really happy about something, I kind of like, oh gosh, here comes the downward, like I'm super pumped. Oh, then you come, oh, that was so fun. And now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just like,
that's coming though.
You get a case of the Mondays out of it.
Yeah, you're like, well, I guess I do. But you do stuff over and over again. And like, I think I heard this one time, it's like, well, the sun comes up every day. Same thing every day, so it's, you got to kind of change your perspective and say, well, at least I get to, like, gratitude, which sounds like super hokey, but I think it's helped me through especially the last 2 years of just being thankful for what I have. I have a wife, I have friends. We had Easter party today, and we had all our family over, as chaotic as it was, and we have things to be thankful for. We're fed. We have people that care about us, like
sustenance and covering,
and we have freedom. Like you and I can basically do what we want. We can basically, you got to work and you got to do whatever you think your wife wants you to do that day, or whatever that is, and that's a whole marriage conversation. But
you said thing like it's a singular thing each day.
No. You have to guess what they. I think that is a thing with women, and I would say this to any woman if they were in here. What I think women, and I've talked to other women about this. They have they want us to know what to do, and then for them not to tell us what to do. Like they want us to step up and be like, oh, that trash needs taken out, or oh, that thing needs fixed, or
but go to a restaurant and order their meal for them.
And open the door for them.
No, I'm just saying, take them to a dinner and really order their meal for them, unless they get this same stamped out thing. But like you go somewhere new,
okay,
order their meal, take
she'll
a chance
have,
at doing something.
She'll have she'll have the like it's something. And if you really want to be offensive, you say she'll have the salad with the low fat dressing. Like if you really want to get in trouble. But yeah, you don't want to do that at all.
That's safe.
Yeah, that's not, but see, you'll see a movie and some guy will do that. And the girl's like, in the movie, the girl's always like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, the only time that works is like Bill Murray when he was ordering the drink and on Groundhog Day, but he knew what she drank every day.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only way that works.
Yeah. If you know what they want, okay, how about this? If you know what they want, and it's exactly what they want, then they know you care. But if it's like you're just being pompous and you're like, it won't work very well. I don't think movies portray marriage and shows portray marriage like how it really is. Maybe something like Parenthood or something. I don't know if you've seen that show. Maybe some, I don't know, but I don't think, like a lot of movies like rom-coms. Oh, yeah. They'll just show, you have the, first act, they meet, and then the second act, there's always some kind of conflict where they're not going to be together. Oh my God. And the third act, he does something big.
I can't think of a rom-com where you can't see everything coming that happens,
I mean, maybe.
Basically like every Adam Sandler movie. So it goes, it's like like you said, Hollywood and stuff has one idea of how things are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. What's that movie with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston? The Breakup?
That sounds right.
Spoiler alert, but that movie, they don't end up together.
Yeah,
which was the most realistic rom-com of all time. Is that Vince Vaughn? Yeah, it was Vince Vaughn. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it had to come down to his buddy telling him, hey, man, you're a little bit narcissistic. So we do everything you want to do, and we go to the games you want to see and all that stuff.
That's true,
so,
yeah.
It was like...
Which was true how things are.
Yeah.
Of course, according to the internet, every guy is narcissistic. But I don't know. I think the guys that I hang out with, like most of the guys I know, like especially hang out or on this podcast, they're pretty sensitive guys. Like we're not the kind of guys that are telling our their significant other what to do, or we're not like chauvinistic. I don't know. I don't really see that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really hang with them, but some people that you work with and everything's got to be their way, and it just sucks the life out of you if you try to say, hey, can we try this?
Yeah.
And it's like you avoid that just because you want to have a little ounce of energy to get through a 12-hour shift,
So if you can definitely work with people like that. I mean, you're not married to them either. So was I even talking about?
Yeah, I jump ship.
Oh, yeah.
That's my fault.
There are people like that. Like, for instance, one time I was at my sister's house, and if she ever listens, this is not about her, but I was with my brother-in-law and these two other guys in the garage, and we were drinking beer or something. And the two guys that were there were trying to get their wives to stay and hang out and stay the night or whatever. I didn't care. I was just there. I'm these are like guys that are hunters and stuff, and I'm like not that guy. So I'm just kind of hanging out there, just trying not to look like a total wussy, and they said, listen, I'll just, I said, he's like, Linda, or I don't know, Tiffany will do whatever. She goes along with anything I say. The other guy's like, yeah, she was like, Linda will do whatever. Her name wasn't Linda, but whatever, Rachel will do whatever. It's almost like they knew that their wives were just pushovers and were going to do what they said. It was so weird because I would have never said that. Like, I would never say, oh, Kelly will just do what I say. Blah, blah. I wouldn't say that. Like, I'd be like, I'll see what she wants to do. And I wouldn't like go against it really if she wanted to get out of there. You know what I mean?
Right.
they were just like, I don't know. It's so weird. I was like, I knew they had a different relationship than I did. I mean, with my wife. No, I mean, I kind of envied them for a second. Like I was like, they're just going to tell her what to do. And they're going to totally get away with it. Like, it was weird. I'm not, then I don't think I'd really want a relationship like that. I don't think. I mean, I think women do want us to be in charge and take care of things for sure. But then they want us to be chivalrous at the same time. It's kind of a hard balance. Am I getting on a weird subject? Like, I don't know.
No, I can't say I disagree with any of your feelings there.
I mean, I don't know. I just want to. It's you. Marriage is a complicated thing. It is. I think I thought I'd think about it and make it too complicated than it really is, honestly. And I don't even know why. I think I have expectations for myself in it that probably are too hard to obtain, I would say. I don't know. But the things in front of your nose are the hardest, the biggest struggle to
Very nice come around on that. Well done.
Sometimes you just got to appreciate where you're at. And I mean, it's definitely nice to have a partner that does care, that does care about you, you know? But I always feel like I don't care enough, I would say. Like, not that I don't care enough, that I don't, how do I show it a lot? I mean, do I need to show that every day? I guess. And maybe it's the little things.
But that's like the wife, we're having a good moment. And it's like, I try to propose to her on some level every day. Like,
oh, really?
Say, will you marry me? Says, yeah. And I'll be like, how's it come? And she'll say something. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get into all that because it's
personal.
No, it's not nothing bad or nothing like that, but it's like, it might be a little too cute for the audience. Yeah. I don't want to be like that one vampire that sucks the life out of people.
I heard this other quote already, and I'm reading this book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's what the book's called, which I kind of am trying to work on. I don't know, it's a pretty good book. It's a pretty famous book. It's, but this guy says, he's an existential philosopher, Albert Camus. He said, "You'll never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. You'll never live if you are looking for the meaning of life."
Yeah, I can kind of see that. That comes down to, I used to listen to Lex and Terry.
Right.
And
I did not think you were going to say that, but okay.
Well, let me get to it here.
It's not.
But then after about a year of listening to it, just because it was on a drive time, their philosophy for everything was he who cares the least wins. And it was just like, I don't know, but I still, that's how they get by. But I don't know, man. I'm just like,
this book kind of says that.
Yeah, but my code doesn't allow me to work that way on a lot of stuff.
Well, how about this? It's almost like an expectation thing. If I'm trying really, really hard at something and I'm focusing on it and I'm really nervous about not getting it, sometimes you flub it because it's so much pressure on yourself, Like, I think...
it's like you reach a point of defeatism and it's like, just do the best you can.
Like, you ever been really trying hard to get a strike in bowling, or it's a big pressure moment and you're going to win something and you just biff it?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All
golf shots, man.
Yeah, like golf is a total... I think golf is a good analogy because the harder you're trying to shoot a good shot, the worse I do.
Yeah.
For real.
Like pound the ball and have a 5-foot eagle putt and miss it every time. Yeah. It's like,
yeah. Have a real good drive.
All you got to do is roll it in. This is a flat green. This is a pool top. I got this. And it's like, what?
There's an overconfidence thing too. That's another angle. Like, if I'm there's the whole proverb of pride comes before a fall. You know, like
Right.
you get too cocky. When I get too cocky, I just fall. Like it's bad. But this is more like focusing so much on something that through that you just kind of miss the point of the experience of it all. Maybe I don't. You know.
Yeah.
The other quote on here was, "Everything worthwhile in life is won through surmounting the associated negative experience." So, as we go through life, we fail, but
If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it.
Yeah, you learn a lot. Like you learn a lot. Like, for instance, guitar. I had to hit a lot of wrong notes before I found the right ones. You know.
Yeah. I played a lot before I had to figure out my fingers were short and fat. You know, it's like,
My dad always says that his fingers are too short and fat, but I think you just.
I've met a couple guys that can weld, but I'm just saying my coordination dexterity wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean it's like anything else.
Yeah, it's put your 10,000 hours in, just like anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there's guys who can play guitar with their feet. You know what I mean? Like when I see that, I'm like, I am way too spoiled with these hands.
I can't play guitar on the CD player, so I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think me and you have strummed around a little bit, and I'm pretty pedestrian.
I mean, it's really about enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like if I don't enjoy playing, why would I play? You know what I mean? Like I've tried to make money at it. I've tried to do a lot of things with it, but I just really just enjoy playing around with it. I like just seeing what could happen and being willing to make mistakes.
Well, so like I seen you. You were talking to my folks earlier about the effects on one of them, and you can kind of tell that's like your Zen place. Just like.
Yeah,
even if it's just being techie with it, but you're taking a little spin on it to demonstrate stuff like that. Yeah. That's your element.
Yeah, I think it's a blessing to be able to do it. But I think everybody's got something that they're really passionate about that they like to do. I mean, my problem is that I often think, like I watched this book talks a lot about the internet and how we see people who are really good at stuff and their life's going great, and you're like, oh gosh, I wish I could be that good. But really, that's their life. Like, look at Kurt Cobain. Not the greatest guitarist in the world. No, not. He had a great bass player, and he had one of the best drummers in the entire world. But he just did what he could do. I mean, even in the Unplugged album, an Unplugged, he had other people come play.
Yeah.
Because his thing was, his voice had sounded like he smoked 27 cigarettes that day, that hour. And then, he just had that. I think he just kept doing it. It's funny how, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but grunge took away all the technicality of the instrumentation and stripped it down to just the emotion of it.
Yeah.
But it killed the hair bands.
Yeah, glam rock. Yeah.
Yeah, it killed because it was just, look, most pop songs are just 3 chords. I mean,
right.
It's about, I think it's much simpler than I make it. It's not a bunch of notes, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that comes down to if I'm looking for happiness, all the elements of happiness, I'm not going to find it. Because it's right in front of my nose type stuff. There's the nose again. There's the nose again. But I like taking the negative effects too, because like through your life, you may have negative effects that happen to you, and like you learn your lesson. Like, I'm not going to do that again. Like, I don't know.
You know what I'm thinking of right now?
What are you thinking about?
The episode of South Park where Butters had to crush on a girl that worked at the restaurant.
Okay.
And it was like a knockoff of Hooters, but
what was it called?
Raisins.
It's called Raisins.
Yeah, because there's all these little kids. It's like he's, because they were third and fourth graders or whatever, that were, all these girls that were working in this place that was a knockoff of that, and they, they were all named after fancy cars. Come on, Lexus, let's go over here. Okay, Porsche. Hey, Ferrari. And anyway, Butters, he was all into this one girl, and then he somehow, I don't know if his parents kind of showed him, but he figured out that they were just being nice to him to exploit for tips or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
just how that goes. And then, I think same episode, Stan breaks up with his girlfriend, and he's just like, "What are you doing with all this darkness, man?" He's like, "No, it's okay because I went through something that bad. And now I know that all this other stuff isn't as bad." You know?
Yeah.
Like,
A lesson from South Park.
yeah.
I think that is the perspective. Having that perspective is, even in South Park, that's a deep thing for South Park. I mean,
Yeah. Well, if you read between the lines, sometimes they hit on some stuff.
they do. I think they're more philosophical than people give them credit for. I think they're trying to say something in that show. That's why it's been around for so long. I mean, it's been around for 20 years, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like they throw an episode together in like 4 days or something like that. So, I mean, culturally, they can be right there week in, week out, you know.
I watched there's a documentary on how they make it, and it's pretty. Have you seen it? They show how they do it. They show how they record it and do the animation, and it's crazy. I mean, they have a team of people, so that kind of definitely helps. I mean, it's interesting how, and they just put it out there, and it's perfect. I don't know how they do it. Like they hit every. But those guys have been doing it for so long. It's just so crazy that people do that. And that's what gets to me. That gets with me is like, I'm hoping that we can, and I'm getting kind of meta, but like, with what we're putting out, I hope it can be something good for people who participate in it. But maybe some people can take some stuff away from it too. You know, I mean, I want us to be funny, of course, too. But I think we've kind of gone toward this existential,
Yeah, which I think downstream will we'll loosen up and lighten up, and it'll turn into.
Yeah, I almost like we're almost documenting us coming up through. We're starting at the beginning of how.
Yeah,
it started. It doesn't have to be. I don't want anybody to think that this is a perfect thing. Right. It is not. It's a it's a conversation between people, and that's the point of it.
That's what I was, when we were kind of brainstorming on stuff, and I was asking you, like, can you take a MIDI keyboard and assign like a wave or anything to any key, stuff like that, so you could, but my thought process was it was more like a morning drive talker, kind of effects, like you could put zinger noises in and stuff like that. And I was like, the stuff we talk about probably doesn't work anyway. Not yet. Anyway. We might get to that point.
They do that on some podcasts sometimes, and I don't love it unless it's like really well done or something. Yeah. It's like, plus it takes timing, and I'd have to have them like set up.
Yeah. Some of it has all the relevance of the old Batman show, like the 50s Batman.
Yeah.
Zoc and Pals and stuff. And you don't want that.
It's called onomatopoeia, if you will. That's what that's called. When you make a bam or a Shazam sound, that's
should that be our podcast name?
Onomatopoeia podcast. We had to start out with like bam, boom, zing.
Yeah,
that show was interesting. I think it's interesting how Batman went from this cartoonish thing to now, like even like the comic book. Of course, I mean the comic book is just violent and
dark,
and then they started making the movies that way, and which I prefer it that way. I prefer, as we've talked about before, my comic book movies and things to be.
I think there is more something artistic to be said when they go out on a limb that way versus. Some Michael Bay production that it's just it's another subject South Park's talked about, but it's all like sound effects or special effects, I should say.
I mean special effects like in a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, like like the Transformers is just all stuff flying at you.
Transformers
in 3D.
Transformers is too hard to watch.
Yeah,
it's like so fast that I don't even know how they keep track of it.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying, man. When somebody takes a chance and tries to go really dark and murky and just mind melted kind of thing. That
Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, when there's context and there's real danger. I think that's why that's why Heath Ledger's Joker was so good, because
Yeah,
you're really afraid of that guy. He's really
yeah.
scary. And like
I think we all know somebody that acts kind of like that too. Like,
who's kind of scary.
yeah,
Yeah, I know
it's
people
just
like that.
that I don't want to travel with this guy anymore.
Yeah, he seems a little dangerous.
Yeah.
Just too off the hinge. What Alfred said in the movie? He said, some guys just want to burn the whole place down, or that's not the exact quote, but they're not doing it for money.
Yeah,
And that's a real, the psychopath, nihilistic,
sadistic. Maybe.
sadistic killer type of person. Why are we're fascinated by that in our society? We love serial killers. We love watching murder shows. We love villains,
I think it's like looking at a train wreck. You find somebody that their code has them programmed, has them written so wrong, and you wonder what the makeup is there, just so maybe to learn something from it. I don't know. That might be too philosophical.
No, I mean, there's the anti-hero.
Yeah.
Like you talk about Walter White of Breaking Bad, which is my favorite show of all time.
Yeah.
You root for him.
Or Dexter.
Or Dexter, yeah. I never stopped rooting for him. I don't know why. Even though he almost killed a kid and did all this stuff. I mean, for some reason, you wanted this.
Find yourself rooting for a serial killer.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the draw. It's kind of puts you in a spot you've never been before.
Yeah.
I mean,
the anti-hero is you look at Better Call Saul. Ever seen that show?
A little bit.
Saul you see him go back and forth from trying to be it's this moral dilemma. Am I going to be a good lawyer, a bad lawyer? And you want him to win.
Yeah.
And it's because you're emotionally invested in him. It's a strange, I mean, it's probably my favorite type of character to watch. We look at the Joker that, what's his name did, Joaquin Phoenix. That was more of a mental health, like commentary, I guess. Beaten down by society. He was lied to. I don't even know how to feel about that movie, honestly. Have you seen it? You seen the Joker, just the regular Joker?
Mm-hmm. The one where he's dancing on the stairwell?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
It's a really good movie. I mean...
I've heard that like in a bunch of different circles, but I've yet to...
I'd watch it. It's
partake.
It's very dark. It matches the darkness.
Seems like it'd be my wheelhouse. I mean, because I like we were talking about the Dark Knight series before, and it was just like
you would really love it. It's really good. It's like it's
not kind of like
it's not a happy movie.
This is geeking out a little bit too, but like in my 20s, I liked at least the first Matrix.
Yeah,
just like I don't know, there for a while. I liked that genre of like a pseudo-utopian thing, like going back to Elon saying, it's mathematically more likely that we're in a simulation than this being real type of things, like, thought-provoking type stuff. Like,
yeah, I think The Matrix brought up a lot of, I don't know, it's got levels of, do you want the truth or do you want the comfort of the lie?
Yeah, well, I like how they throw in there some subtleties, like, you ever get a deja vu? It's like, it's supposed to be something. Oh, they're rewriting something. It's like,
a deja vu is a weird thing. I mean, you feel it so hard, and you're like, and I've equated it to, okay, I've felt that my senses are stimulated all in the same way at that moment that they have another time, or something. I don't know. Maybe I've dreamt it before. I don't know. Like all my senses have felt the same thing before. So
okay, this is a little weird, but I don't think it's unfounded. Nothing that would be outside of science.
Okay.
But it's like, I will remember dreams from I hadn't thought about in years. And it wasn't like nightmares, but it was like...
You'll remember a dream you had.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it feels like.
Oh.
Because I was like, man, seemed like a lot of them like were in my, teenager, like 16 or something, let's say. And it was just like,
when you were in stage,
and maybe I'd have a little clip of that dream
when
again.
you're stage 4 sleep, right?
3.
It's 3. Okay.
3.
You dream in 3?
Oh, no, you're right. REM is
4.
dreaming, but
okay, you're right.
But you're getting HGH drops in 3, so it's like, so it makes me think.
Oh, you're younger. It's okay.
Yeah.
So stage 4 sleep.
But it's like you'll have a snippet of a dream, and it's like I remember it's almost like you hit a button in that dream. It's like, oh, this has happened before, and then you wake up, and it's like, man, I remember that dream. So it's not quite a recurrent dream, but it's just like it's happening. I don't know, maybe 3 times in the past year. Like, man,
You've thought of a dream you had, but you felt like it happened.
But it was like a micro version of a previous dream.
Oh, yeah.
I know people have recurrent dreams a lot.
They do.
But this seemed a little bit different. It was just like, like it wasn't the same dream, but it was like.
When I was a kid, I had this dream all the time. And I was in my parents' Monte Carlo, this big blue Monte Carlo, like a 70s Monte Carlo, like a huge car. And I was going down next to the golf course, next to Belfont Golf Course. You know, that real thin road next to the golf course. And the car was going 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I was like in the car, and I was too young to drive, so it was terrifying. And I just had that, and it was like I was just barreling down that road, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and I would just scream. I was just the fear of drive. I don't know what it meant. Fear of speed. I don't know what it was.
When I first had my oldest son, I kept having a dream that I would be driving and something would happen in front of you, like pile up or car, something like that. And you go to stomp the brake and your foot would miss the brake and slip off the right side of the pedal.
You feel the actual.
And I'd sat straight up in bed. I probably did that, 3 times.
And you're braking in your sleep?
Yeah.
Wow.
And, just like that we were crashing, but it was like I didn't start having that dream until I was dreaming about the precious cargo in the car seat.
So your worst fear was not being able to control the car when your kid was in it and you're trying to protect your kid. So it's your fears being played out in the dream. Huh. That's interesting. I've been reading.
I mean, it'd be up there with Christian Laettner becoming the coach at Kentucky or something like that. I mean, really bad stuff,
I have, ever since I stopped drinking and all that stuff, and I've been clean for a year and a half, I will periodically have a dream that I've had 2 of them that I've been smoking weed. And I'm like losing my mind in the dream because I'm like, upset that I'm not clean anymore. And I just go through the whole emotion of just letting everybody down and the whole thing. And one I had, I was drinking. And it was so real because it was like in my new house. I was drinking. It's like I snuck it, and I woke up and I was just like, gosh, I have totally let down my whole family. I have all this clean time and blah blah. And then I realized, I've done bad stuff in the dream or whatever.
Yeah,
shouldn't have done. And then I'm like,
take a deep breath. You're all right.
And I'm like, but the relief of it not happening.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm just like, I haven't done that. I'm so cool. But it's almost like I get to go through what would happen if I did. Because it's a big thing for me. It's a big deal. It's hard. It's been, not that I've really thought about it, but it's almost relieving. I'm like, I'm glad I get to go through it in a fake dreamland instead of in person.
Oh, no doubt.
And that's my worst fears. That's the same thing kind of as the breaking thing, I think. Because it'd be a big fear of mine. Just I'm reading a lot in the reading this 3-year Bible thing. And it's got Joseph, and he interprets dreams. And it's like I'm kind of looking at like, what are these, like, what's the deal with interpreting dreams? Like, why was that his talent? Like that was his talent was to, one of the dreams, like he told his brothers, he's like, hey, I'm going to be over all you guys, basically, Yeah. And so they hated him.
So he sold him into
So
slavery.
they sold him in. We tell children that story. Yeah, his brothers. They threw him in a pit, sold him into slavery. They almost killed him. Then there's the one brother, I forget which brother it was, and then he interprets these dreams for these guys in prison.
Yeah, cupbearer and what
The
was the other one?
cupbearer
The baker,
and
maybe.
the baker. Yeah, oh, good. Yeah, he tells the cupbearer he's gonna go back up and serve the pharaoh or whatever, and or not the pharaoh, the Pontius Pilate. What's the guy's name?
The bigwig.
The bigwig guy. Not Pontius Pilate's in the New Testament. Potiphar. No. Yeah, Potiphar.
Maybe
It's Potiphar. Right. It's Potiphar. Yeah. Start with a P. Anyway, so then he tells the baker, "You're gonna die." Like it's like it's real. And the baker gets his head cut off, and then the cupbearer forgets about him. And, and then,
how bad can you mess up as a? What's your job? I take this guy cup. Man.
Yeah, like he must have dropped the cup.
You're on your third your third write up. We're gonna have to let you go.
You've dropped you have one job. You're the cupbearer. Do they not have tables to put the cup on? Like, what's the deal? Like, why do you have to be the cupbearer? What did the cupbearer do? I'll have to do some research. Maybe he tasted it because it might be poison or something. Maybe he took a sip. So that's just he lives.
Like in Game of Thrones, the one guy that was showing up drunk, and they killed him at Joffrey's wedding.
I haven't watched that. I need to watch that.
Oh, okay. There's this one guy. He was he wasn't a court jester, but he was supposed to be one of the entertainers or something like that.
Yeah, a minstrel of some sort.
And he was getting sauceled all the time. And he was slobbering drunk for the proceedings or something like that. And Joffrey said, "Hey, would you like another drink?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, thank you, my lord." He's like, "Here, so-and-so, help him out." And he, starts, it goes downhill from there. I won't spoiler alert you any more than that.
He dies, guys. That's what happens. He dies.
He has.
I heard it's a good show. I need to watch it. I just haven't had a chance to. I started watching Homeland at the same time. And Homeland was just didn't watch that. It's really good too.
I've heard. I meant to take that up. It's still in the streamers right now.
It's very, very, very good. I need to watch Game of Thrones. It's like 6 seasons or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
I watched the first 2 episodes, but
and for what it's worth, like the last season, the third last episode is like its own movie. Once you get to that point, it's like every so often I'll revisit and just watch the episode. It's like an hour and a half long.
Really?
And I just watch that one episode every so often. It's just like...
It's interesting how they've taken TV and made it so episodic that they can do so much more. They're so much more invested.
I think I heard a lot of it has to do with the actors once they become hit names and stuff like that, and they say, "Okay, we want so much per episode," and they're like, "All right, okay, we're only going to make 8 episodes instead of 12, and they're going to be an hour and a half long instead of 45 minutes long or something like that." And that's their way around that.
That's smarter. Yeah, like making it not a half an hour show, but an hour and a half show, like a movie.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, we're only going to have 6 episodes this season.
You like Walking Dead at all?
I started to watch it back in the day, and to me, like the storyline bogged down when they were coming up on the governor, and they were trying to get in that place.
Yeah.
And I never.
They had a lull. They had a lull when they were at that prison, in the show. It's really good now. I've watched every single episode, and it's a TV show, of course, and it's about zombies, of course, but it's interesting what they do with it. I mean, it is the first part of it was the first, episodes were great because you got the whole it just happened kind of thing, and Rick wakes up, which is a straight up copy from 28 Days Later.
Yeah,
I mean, straight up copy. Of course, it's a comic book. Comic book's really good, but I think I had a point of bringing this up, and I just can't remember what it is now. But it's It's a good show. I think the zombies being kind of unthreatening is a problem.
It kills me. We were talking about a show I got to work with, buddy. The other day, I turned him on to a show. Well, it's Brockmire. I don't know if
I've heard of that show. Yeah,
and it's Hank Azaria, who did a lot of the voices of Simpsons, and was in what was the Robin Williams?
Oh yeah, this is the guy.
movie.
He's the broadcaster. The
Baseball broadcaster.
play guy. Yeah,
and he has this colossal meltdown on live TV. He's calling a game, stuff like that.
Does he lose his career or something?
Yeah, he ends up calling these obscure sports over in Thailand or something, in the Philippines or something like that for a while. It becomes, has this hiatus, and he's tried everything known to man,
That's hilarious.
And the first season is laugh out loud funny, in a bunch of different places. Second season, you can kind of motor through it, and then it just falls off. And there are so many shows like that. It's like, well, even Dexter for that matter. I mean, Dexter, the last season kind of fell off.
I stopped watching Dexter. It was just too.
Yeah, it got past the. There was one season with John Lithgow, and that was good. And then the one where the archetype or whatever was the Russian gangster, Lakachka.
You're talking about the show?
Yeah, his because every year he's got a main villain.
Oh yeah.
And it was.
I don't remember that one. I don't think.
That one was good, but thereafter, it was. Then the way they closed it out.
I call that the hook. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's.
I call that the hook. So you look at The Office, right? The Office had a hook. It's okay. It's funny regardless. Every season of The Office is funny. I like The Office, but you had the Jim and Pam thing,
right?
Well, Jim and Pam are star-crossed lovers, classically, if you want to look at it, classic literature. And then all of a sudden, they get together. So you're like, what do we do now? So then you lose the heart of the show. So then you have to figure out, well, Jim and Pam might break up. So then they took Michael, and Michael got a girlfriend. So they had to so they have to have a hook. You have to have a reason you're watching it. If the person let's say they're an anti-hero, like Walter White, just to be repetitive, if he gets caught,
right,
it's kind of over.
Yeah.
If Dexter gets caught, someone finds out who he is, it's kind of over.
Speaking of cool serial killer shows,
uh-huh.
You ever watch The Following? Had Kevin Bacon in it.
No, I heard they didn't finish that show.
They kind of they didn't wrap up the whole series to finality.
I have it on my queue to watch that show.
But the each season kind of got to an end. But it was like the first villain was just
really good.
The one that everybody was based off of. The Following. It was just
I need to watch. Have you watched Jessica Jones?
It
has the same thing. It has this great villain. I mean, scary villain. Probably the scariest villain I've ever seen. Yeah. And they kind of they don't really show him at first. Then they show him and he's terrifying. He's the most terrifying villain.
Kind of like the Jaws trailer.
He's good, man. That show was good until I don't know. Then Daredevil was kind of like that with Fisk. What's his name? He's in the Spider-Man movie. Anyway,
that was one.
You have to have a hook, is what I'm saying.
I couldn't do Spider-Man after Kirsten Dunst.
Really?
Can't say her name.
Well, what's his name? Garfield guy. The second Spider-Man. That was just awful.
Yeah, they.
The first one wasn't that great. I mean, the third one was awful. Spider-Man 3 is known because they had the sand guy.
Yeah.
When they put too many villains in a movie, you're in trouble, I think.
And the first Hulk movie, the one with help me out here.
Not Edward Norton. But Eric Bana. Eric Bana. Eric Bana, then Edward Norton.
Yeah, the Edward Norton one to me was somewhat watchable, but
almost good.
Yeah, but it was too much you know, if I wanted the Incredible Hulk, I'd go back and watch a Frankenstein movie. You know, Fire Bad, same. Only he wasn't dead; it was just radiation. You know,
he is kind of Frankenstein. I guess you're
Yeah.
right. And then in the Avenger movies, he became both. Like he could be, he was Bruce Banner and the Hulk at the same time. That was probably like them talking to Mark Ruffalo and being like, he didn't want to be just going the whole time or whatever. Plus, the Hulk's destroying everything all the time. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, he's not an intellectual giant when he.
Yeah,
it's not. You know, to me, I'd make a comic book series about what's his name, the Dr. Beast or whatever, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would go that route. That would to me would be more watchable than the Hulk.
Well, the whole
stream.
Edward Norton thing where he's trying to control his anger and all that was kind of cool. But then it goes into that you have Super Hulk or whatever he was. I don't know what he was. Colossus Hulk or, the other guy comes in and becomes a super soldier. That was kind of. Did you see the movie, the show Mind Hunters?
Mm-mm.
Great first season, worth watching. Real serial killers, not real ones, but
based upon.
And then the second season, just kind of, I don't know what happened to it. It just got.
Yeah, I just hate that. I don't know, like, dude,
shows
you come out with a good show on a weaker network, and then the real networks just grab all the writers or something. I mean, how does something fall off?
Idea. It's like, okay, I want to equate it to this. You have a band that comes out with a hit album, right? And then their second album is not as good. There's a ton of bands like that.
Right. I've heard the explanation on that.
Okay, what's your explanation on that?
Okay. These guys have been writing songs ever since they started going through teen angst and
okay,
and
I agree with that. That's my theory as well. Yeah.
And then they, then they're trying to ride on a tour bus in between stops, and they get off the tour and they're trying to crank something out because they're obligated by the label to drop so much material,
Yeah.
And then it's like, so it's if not phoned in, it's manufactured. The process is different,
You're not struggling.
Right. And
Struggle's
so all this
gone.
Yeah, exactly. And and to me, I could see how that could be a thing.
Yeah, and also when you have a sound, you kind of got to. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't go from. You can't be U2 and then come out with a heavy metal album. You can't be.
Yeah.
You can't be
a Nirvana Christmas.
Yeah, you can't come out. And that's why, like, Pearl Jam kind of got away and just said, we don't care. We don't, whatever. We're a jam. They're almost a jam band.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, they're great. Even if you look at Tool. I love Tool. I know you love Tool. You're the biggest Tool fan. I know.
The last album's different.
They have to do the same.
Metamorphosis.
They've had to do the same thing, though.
Yeah. I mean, the gallopy bass and the jumping time signatures.
Yeah. It kind of gets all blended in to where you're not trying to, and what it is like, maybe you're not trying to make a hit song. Because hit songs aren't a thing anymore. I mean, there's hit songs. But
yeah. But especially for rock, where like the whole music scene is pushed towards 13-year-old girls.
Well, if you're looking at pop music, yes.
Yeah, sure, I mean, what they call the demo, the demographic. And so it is really getting watered down, something that's going to, to find that has the hook,
well, you're only going to listen to 15 seconds, maybe, if a song anyway.
So I appreciate guys like Zerd Chevelle. Like they would be touring on one album, and they would buy studio time
in different places
in the town that they were playing that night.
Yeah,
while the stage was getting set up and stuff like that, they would drop material. They would be working on the next album while they were touring off the current album. I can't confirm that. I'm not personal friends with Pete Loeffler, but
it's easier to record now. Like it used to be, you had to have a studio, But now you could record tracks in your van or your not van. Or you could in a van.
If you get egg crates in a phone booth,
you can do whatever. I mean, you're not going to get equipment is so good now. You don't have to. I mean, you could do. I know people who write stuff in a room like this. I mean, you could definitely do it. It's just about getting the right people. I mean, really, it's a song can sound great but not be great.
Yep.
It can not be a good song. A good song has great lyrics, has good. It evokes an emotion from you. That's what it comes down to. It's not. There's the whole thing of being. I mean, you can be so derivative of yourself that I think influences too. Like if I stop listening to music, I don't write. I've tried this out. I listened to podcasts for a long time, and I tried to write riffs. It didn't work. I got to listen to different things. Like I started listening to Alt J a lot lately because I really like. You listen to them, Alt J? Oh man! But if I listen to like metal, if I listen to whatever it is, I listen to Rival Sons. You like them,
yeah.
But anyway, I'll try to I like their sound, and so I'll listen to it, and then I automatically, when I play guitar, I'm like, I can evoke it. I'm not saying I'm going to play exactly what they're doing.
I could see that though, because you have enough background.
Yeah,
part of the adventure would be how to dissect how they got that effect or what have you.
Yeah, how they got what chord progression they play in, But if they're not doing that, like most musicians that are really really good are derivative of another musician. You look at John Mayer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They all list influencers.
Yeah, and they just you feed off that. You find that thing. I think maybe these bands become derivative of themselves to a point where they're watering down their own stuff, and they have pressure to get it done, and they're trying to use a formula.
That's what there's a couple names that stick out in my mind that I appreciate because it seemed like they didn't make the same album twice. Was Stone Temple Pilots and Tom Petty.
Yeah, those are good examples.
Yeah, Tom Petty's not my wheelhouse, but it was like if you look at his spectrum of hits, totally different sounds. Just different.
And Stone Temple Pilots really.
David Bowie, I guess you could throw in there too.
Yeah, I never really got into him, but I understand. You know what I mean? Yeah, they made different stuff. Radiohead's the same way. I mean, Radiohead started off as a kind of alternative band, then went to electronica and really weird beats, and just I think experimentation is good. But it's also like we're not always talking about pop music. Like, are you making money are you able to sustain your living? Are people still buying your stuff? Do they? I mean, Tool's got the mystique. People love Tool.
Yeah, the whole. I don't know. They're like the videos were so
dark and weird,
creepy, and then you throw in intellectual stuff like the Fibonacci sequence, and the ones that want music to geek out on, they kind of found it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not guilty of that, but it was.
Well, some people listen to music, and some people are real music lovers. And I'll say this, some people aren't. Some people just don't like music.
Yeah.
They don't listen to it. Like some people just look at a painting, that's cool, but some people really look at it, the shades of it, the different things they're doing. I mean, they don't see it like other people. Like, I know I've said like 400 times today. Not bring attention to it. But like when I hear a song, I'm listening to what's that bass doing? Gosh, what's that?
Yeah.
How do they get that? Like, and the vocals to me are everything. Like, if you have bad vocals, forget it. I'm not even gonna. And I'm not saying it has to be a great singer, because that's very relative. Great singing is relative. I mean, like, it's the way you say it. It does it. I'm not talking about Whitney Houston here. I'm talking about like just how they look. That's how rap is. Raps. They aren't good singers. They're just
incredible voices that haven't made it that should have.
Such as
aggravates me. Ian Thornley, for my money.
Who's that?
He's out of Canada. He was in a band called Thornley. Now he's with Big Wreck. But I mean,
I've heard of Big Wreck before.
And let's see, they were getting some airplay back in the Thornley days. But man, I mean, if when Scott Weiland passed,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would have, because this dude, I mean, you get a chance to. Sometimes his voice will sound like, I mean, it'll go from Sammy Hagar to Chris Cornell to just to a grunge guy. I mean, he's just and can well too. Just if you watch him play on YouTube, I mean, he's just total package. But he just, I don't know if he's
is he still successful?
Hard to travel with or something like that. I mean, yeah, he still does his thing. Like I saw him at Rock on the Range. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. So it's been a while now. But I mean, I hung out with his drummer from when he was with Thornley down Myrtle Beach one time. Yeah, saw him at what's the little places there in every town? Blues place, House of Blues.
House of Blues. Yeah, I've never been to House of Blues.
And it's actually I saw the Toadies at the House of Blues in Vegas one time.
Oh, really?
And we've talked about them before. And
you kind of got me. I listened to them a little bit. Yeah, I like them.
Rubberneck is one of the more underrated albums ever. Just anybody out there?
Okay.
So throw that out. And anyway, but yeah, I hung out with the drummer for Thornley, back when they were getting some airplay, and he has just got a dynamic voice, man. And I just don't know how he is not a household name in those circles.
There's just a. I wonder about that about musicians.
It was like that. You were talking about the Eagles. Where was it? Glenn Fry was saying that he was listening to Jackson Brown practice.
Oh yeah. Jason was saying that. Yeah, how they were listening to all these great people, but
somehow they were picked out of the crowd.
Yeah,
it's like they were guys.
I mean, a band is a hard thing. I mean, it's an artist by themselves. Like I just got done, and I was playing with a guy last year that had the best voice I've ever heard in my life. He was a great guitar player, but what got him was himself.
Yeah,
and he may still do something. I don't know. I bet he had some issues, and it just the best voice one of the best voices I've heard in person.
Yeah,
and got to play with myself. Yeah,
I think you just talking about him and playing some of his audio tracks taught me something, because I thought to get certain sounds you would just put delay on that and it would sound more full. And it was like, no, you sing the same track.
Yeah, you double the track. Yeah,
doubling it. Yeah, and it's just, so I would. But I'm all the time trying to.
Yeah, I think well, the way people record stuff really matters. Like if you listen to all pop vocals and you listen to, most albums, people are going over stuff twice, and sometimes they'll sing the same thing exactly the same way, or sometimes they'll sing it's a little bit different. Then you have vocoder now, but that's a whole other story. But people made look at Post Malone, total career on vocoder. He can sing,
right,
for sure, no doubt about it. But that vocoder, really got. I mean, it makes him sound cool. I don't know how people do it. I mean, but
didn't that really first took off, like in the Far East, like Bollywood, when they were scoring?
I think so.
Production stuff for that, and somehow,
I think it's a pitch corrector. The vocoder is hooked up to a keyboard a lot of times, but it basically is, listen, I don't know I may know what I'm talking about, I may not, but how they used to have that thing with a guitar, and you could, what's it called? They put the thing in their mouth. Peter Frampton used it.
Yeah, the talk box.
Talk box. Yeah. It's kind of like that, and they'll do it. They have a keyboard hooked up to it sometimes, so you'll just pitch the same tone that you're singing. And then there's pitch correction, which is a whole other story. You can, let's say I was to sing into here, and it would pitch correct to whatever key I put it to. So it would stay in tune no matter what. And they use that a lot in studios now. Like people use it live.
Yeah.
And it'll correct it. Now, here's the thing. What they do on a lot of vocals is they'll do it on purpose to fix it. So the guy will sing something, but the vocoder will pick up another way, so sounds totally different.
So do you have to be off enough to where it recognizes it to correct it?
Yeah, like I did it once with Jason. We were doing that. We had a little music project. This guy's name was Keith Wonder, and I think I told you about that. And
a little bit of the story.
And I said, okay, and I had a pitch corrector at the time. I think it's still. I think you can still do it like on GarageBand. I think it was on GarageBand, honestly. And I said, sing like Mr. Hanky from South Park. And he said, okay. So he sang like Mr. Hanky, but it sounded amazing because it brought it up and like all these octaves, and it sounded like he could sing like Mariah Carey or something. I mean, it was crazy.
And this was all GarageBand.
You can do it on GarageBand. Yeah. I'll have to try it again, but we were trying to get that vocoder sound, and it did it. I mean, you can do crazy stuff, make vocals go backwards, and that's why I like artists that you hear like just raw. Chris Cornell, just straight up. Yeah. His solo stuff wasn't as great. I think he had this drug problem got to him for sure. But you look at the guys who can just hit that weird gruffness, that weird that raspy, almost losing it type of vocal. That's when Cobain covered that Meat Puppets song. You could tell. That's why I like that song, because he tried it and it was right at the top of his, the 4th of July, and somehow he made that part work. Yeah.
I mean, I always.
Yeah, he was. It sounds like they're about to go. It's about to go.
Yeah.
But they have control of it to that very edge, and that's hard to do. Like, that's what my buddy had that I was talking about. He had this, and I would be in the studio with him. I mean, meaning his apartment, and and I had a mic set. I was like, okay, you just got to push a little harder. He said, okay, so he'd go in and he'd sing it, and it's like, dude, you're almost there. It's like, because it was about confidence too. Singers are all about. I've coached a lot of singers. Not that I'm a great singer, but just their confidence. If you don't build them up in the studio, they're not going to do it. If they feel it all, that's why I hate to say this, but I love watching American Idol, because you get somebody in this room, and some of them just hit that thing. They hit that place that just gets your, just makes you almost tear up. Yeah, you're just like, oh my gosh, and I don't know that's the most fascinating instrument is the human voice, in my opinion. I mean, some people have it, some people don't. You can develop it, I'm sure, but I don't know. It's all breath and
the more, and I'm not saying this like I'm a crooner, but I used to mess around with karaoke, stuff like that.
Right on,
but the more I would start covering certain people, the more I realized how many guys out there didn't have range, but they had a wheelhouse.
Yeah.
That made it, but their songs had a hook and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call out anybody, but it was usually more on the country western side of the spectrum.
Heck yeah. Country's not, there's some great country singers, don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's a storytelling thing. You know what I mean? It's just like rap. Rap is an attitude. Country's an attitude. Rock's an attitude too. I mean, it's about how you say it, not how great, a singer you are. Look at Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like Bob Dylan, but I get it. He said it in a way. Yeah. Ever seen Bob Dylan? There's a video of him during the We Are the World.
Yeah.
He's like sitting there. He had to be hungover or something. But he's with Michael Jackson. I think the boss. I don't know who else was. Whitney or Diana Ross was there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Some 80s people.
Lionel Richie.
Heck yeah, Lionel Richie's awesome. Yeah. The Maneater.
Ray Charles was in on that, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Maneater, who's that?
Oh,
Hall & Oates.
Daryl Hall, yeah.
Yeah, Hall & Oates, which I love them. And he's like sitting there just like, we are the world.
Yeah, he's barely conscious. Yeah.
We are the children. And it's so funny. He just totally doesn't want to be there. And it's the funniest video of all time. I wish we could show it. It's so funny. Like you can't, the audio wouldn't be enough. It's his face. It's just, You can tell he's like, this is a big bunch of crap. Like, it's totally really against everything he was
How'd
stood
I get
for.
goaded into this?
Yeah, he I don't know, like, and he got saved at one point, made a big Christian album. He had a song called Saved, and we used to cover it at church all the time.
Is that like his head from Korn? Is he still doing the...
He did a big, he came in Ashland and did a show. I think I opened up for, that might have been the show I opened up for POD. We got to, like, my band Crash Room we had a reunion show. And it was like 5 or 6 years after we played. And I remember we went up and I had like a smaller amp, but really I could play the songs better. I was better at guitar. So I was like, why was I playing my songs this way? Like, I was such an idiot. Like, I just had another take on them. So we practiced and practiced. And we went up and we played this show. And my singer goes, man, these brights are too light. And he said it on the mic. And they shut the lights off on us. So we had to play in the dark. Like, we're down the river. We played in the dark.
Wow.
Yeah. And so all these, and then we got kicked off the stage early because these one band called Cross Force or something stupid ended up, they thought they were the bee's knees, I guess, or whatever. They thought they were, and then POD showed up at like 10:30 at night. And Marcos from POD used my pedal board as one of the proudest moments of my life. Because he forgot his or something. And I was like, oh my gosh. I designed this pedal board off of his, like I did. I really did. And it's really neat. But I think he came and spoke at something like, it was either that one or something like it. But he talked about, I mean, Korn was debaucherous. I mean, pretty much. I mean,
yeah.
Except for what's his name, the lead singer, he just was into sex. That's it, or something like that.
Yeah, Jonathan Davis.
Yeah. I'm not a big Korn fan, but I'm not even a Korn fan. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But,
actually, that was, they were probably my favorite before Tool, actually, to be honest. I'm glad that proud of this.
I'm glad that you found a better band.
Yeah. There was just that.
I get it.
I was going through my first divorce at the time, and
it's such a perfect divorce,
mosh pit grittiness. You know, it was kind of like
I've watched some videos on them, even though I say I'm not a fan. But I got on the YouTube wormhole, you know, and and Head and Monkey were sitting there with their 7-string guitars, you know.
Yeah.
Which I'd love to have a 7-string guitar. Chevelle uses a 7-string guitar. That's why they're so heavy, but tuned down to B. And they talked about how they were trying to copy. Ever heard of Mr. Bungle?
God, it seems like I've heard that.
That's who Korn. That's who Korn was trying to emulate. Was Mr. Bungle. Mr. Bungle.
Was their influencers.
Big time. It was Mr. Bungle. I don't want to. Yeah, it was Mr. Bungle, and it might have been. That's not true. I want to say Dillinger Escape Plan. Ever heard of them? Dude, Dillinger Escape Plan is it's like someone took a 7-string guitar, or took a guitar and threw it down a flight of steps and wrote a song. Like, it is the craziest stuff you've ever heard in your life. Like, they just took a guitar and kicked it down a set of steps. Dillinger Escape Plan is levels.
I think, Jonathan, like the lyrics, like some of the stuff I went through as a kid.
So you're saying the lyrics got you?
Yeah, there was a connectivity there, and then just that kind of
heavy as crap.
That,
like,
you know, just grumpiness I needed to let
yeah.
You know,
and they did that whole bass tuned down. The bass was a 5-string bass, was tuned down to A or something. And so it was floppy strings. So it was like
fieldy. So it was a lot of pickup smacks.
Yeah, a lot of
clack, clack.
Yeah, a lot of clickety clickety. That's Mr. Bungle too, though. I mean, that's the weird noises, because they made noises like real high pitched, weird octavey noises, and that was Mr. Bungle too. So he actually admitted that that's how music is. I mean, I was trying to be the band Refused. I don't know if you heard of them, but I got their album up there. But Refused is what I was trying to be. This crazy, thorough crazy. I was more punk rock, is why I didn't get into porn. I'm not porn, Korn. Like punk rock to me, I think I took punk rock and Korn and made it porn. Anyway, but that's what happened there.
There's probably a genre of that.
There's a genre of that for sure. But like punk rock, I was too punk rock to be into Korn. You know what I mean? I was too.
Yeah.
It's just
Wasn't your niche?
No, I was like, no, dude, it's not too mainstream. You know, to have like Ross Robinson is the one who produced all that Adidas rock, all that Korn, and
actually drove out to Moline, Iowa to see those guys one time.
Korn.
Yep, that's when back in the early days, back when Stained was always there.
Now
opening.
I love Stained. I love some Stained. They're good.
Yeah,
really good. He's a country singer now.
Yeah,
Aaron Lewis,
which kind of
whatever
breaks my heart.
Whatever. He's awesome. Their guitarist, I think his name's Mahoney or something. I don't remember his name, but he used to be a jazz guitarist, and he practiced like 8 to 10 hours a day jazz.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but that wasn't their original guitarist, was it? Because I remember their first guitarist was this guy that played stooped over the whole time, like he was trying to tie his shoelaces. It looked like.
I don't know the history of Stain, but it's possible.
But that'd be a good MIDI sound there.
Yeah. I mean, he was like this brilliant jazz guitar. I don't know if this is the first or second one, but I read this in Guitar Magazine or something. And he then they play a baritone guitar. Stain does, meaning it's like almost just below a bass, like heavy strings. And that's why they were so heavy. I loved Stain. I thought they were
kind of I mean, is that what Jack White does? Where he doesn't have bass? I mean, is it similar?
No, Jack White uses a polyoctave generator. I have one over here. What it does is it puts a sub-octave in your guitar signal. So it makes it so it sounds like a bass. And he actually made his own polyoctave generator.
So that not having a bass, but that bass sound that's generated then. Right?
I can do it right now. I mean, and there's another band, Royal Blood. They use 2 polyoctave generators, but it's just a bass, so he makes it sound like a guitar. So it can do both. It could make it sound like a bass sound like a guitar, or a guitar sound like a bass. Also, it can make it sound like a 12-string guitar. It can make it sound like an 18-string guitar. It's insane what you can do with an effect pedal. I mean, it's crazy what you can do.
A little slice of madness.
Yeah, but what he does is he takes that polyoctave generator, but he made his own that has like a telegraph in the middle of it. So he's got this pedal, and it's got a telegraph pedal in the middle. So he can like he can switch from that octave to, I mean, it's crazy it's like a $500 pedal or something like that. I don't know why I know that, but I'm just interested in, this could be a guitar pedal podcast. Who knows? I could talk about that till the end of time. But, yeah, I think Jack White's did you see him on SNL?
No, I didn't.
Dude, it was so good. This last time, he kills it. I mean, he plays some song, and I think he's talking about the pandemic and stuff, but it's an old blues song, but it talks about the Holy Ghost. And I mean,
I'll check it out because I record them. You know,
just look it out on YouTube. It's on YouTube. I mean, he plays, I don't know why I'm going off about this, but on SNL, the first or second song, he plays an Eddie Van Halen guitar because Eddie Van Halen just died. So Peavy made him an Eddie Van Halen guitar to play on there.
Oh, wow.
And it's of course it's not like Eddie Van Halen. It doesn't look, but it's just his guitar, the Wolfgang, whatever it is, but it has this button on it, or this little, that guitar has this is guitar geek stuff. Maybe we'll go toward that. The people like that kind of stuff. You pull out this little bolt or whatever on the guitar, and it goes automatically to drop D.
Oh, local guy has one on a Telecaster. Am I allowed to name drop?
Yeah, why not?
Phil Osborne.
I've heard that name.
He's played. Gosh, I used to see him play. He was with a band. I think it was called Cry Wolf, and then what was the name of the one I used to up there. But he plays like mandolin and other stuff too. But his main stage rig was a telly, and it had that drop D switch.
Yeah, it's cool. Those are cool to have. I guess if you want to go drop D real quick. I mean,
he's really good though. I mean, he was kind of total package. I mean, as far as the local bands I've seen, could slide and all that stuff.
I can't. I try to play slide, man. It's hard.
I mean, he'd go from this, that, and the other, and then he'd close out with a 3-song David Gilmour set.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Wow. That's another level. Huh.
Yeah, he's tough.
It's a Telecaster to go.
But he don't look. He looks like. Oh man. I mean, he don't look like some dude that could just blow the wheels off a guitar. He looks like
like what? You try to be nice to him right now?
Yeah, like
he does your taxes or something?
Like one of those let me think of somebody. Just say like a church deacon that's like still overzealous, just really nice.
Yeah.
But he's like one of those guys, like the way he would talk about music is the way they say Keith Richards is about playing music. I mean, even if he wasn't making millions, he'd still be playing for nothing in the back of a bar somewhere just because he wasn't playing. That's kind of how Phil is about, last time I talked to him about music and playing and stuff like that. He's just a cool guy. I mean, he's just real approachable. Just
Phil Osborne is his name?
Yep. He used to teach in the arcade.
I remember that. Yeah.
Upstairs in the.
What was that guy? Did he have long hair? No.
No, he was more of a regular cut guy.
I know I probably met that guy. There's some crazy guys that I've met in music stores. Gosh, I met this one kid last week. I was down at 4:00 Rock, and this kid comes in. He looks like Kurt Cobain type kid, He's got a Journey shirt on. I was like, hey man, I said I was just listening to Journey in my car. I was like, I like Journey, And that album was Frontiers, by the way, for my shirt from 4 episodes ago. But
this is where we go our separate ways.
Yeah. Nice. But I just enjoy the musicianship of it. I don't know. It's great singing, I guess. But he comes in and he looked all beat up, and all of a sudden this kid had, looked like he had like a splint on his eye, and he goes, I was just talking to him about Journey, and this kid was like so young, but he was super into like classic rock. It was so weird. And finally the guy behind the counter goes, what happened to your face, dude? He goes, man, I was at this party, and I got in a fight with this guy, and he threw a beer bottle on my face and all this stuff. And I was like, geez, I don't really have a point to the story, but it was just, I was
that
like,
reminds you why they used to have chain link fence up on some of the stages back then. Yeah,
this kid was crazy, And then these other guys in there were just, one was a tattoo artist, and this other guy said,
there's a punchline in there somewhere.
Yeah.
A 16-year-old rock star, a
tattoo
star? Artist, and a priest walk into a guitar shop.
And this other guy he bought a big orange guitar. Like it was, edit that out. Big orange guitar. And then he said, man, I'm selling my RO39 rig, which is like this rig that you virtually drive like video games. So he tried to sell it to everybody in the place.
Like a driving
sim setup, like where you sit in the chair and you have. I said, what do you do for a living, man? He goes, I drive a truck. I said, so you drive a truck and then you simulate driving at home. He goes, oh man, I love driving. And I was like, so then
you must.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, and so then the other guy's like, man, I've got a 1407 rig, and like they started geeking out over this simulated driving stuff. And then they got into VR, and I was just like, these guys are, I don't know, it was wild. Like,
you guys are not in the right store anymore.
No, the GameStop is down. Of course, they don't sell that kind of stuff at GameStop, but they sell more like, I went to GameStop the other day and they were selling they sell like memorabilia, or geek
Yeah.
memorabilia now. Like
Pokemon figures and stuff.
no, they have G.I. Joe guys that are like the old G.I. Joe guys, but they're the new characters, the 80s characters. It's pretty cool. And then they had a Snake Eyes helmet. Yeah, Snake Eyes helmet. They had a Storm Shadow. That's not really a helmet, but yes, Cobra Commander helmet. I was like, this is a video game. It's like I guess they're kind of going on the geek culture. Mm-hmm. We could go off on the GameStop stock stuff, but I don't know enough about it to even.
No, some guys I work with actually got in on some of that stuff.
How much money do they make off of it?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it that I would still be a.
Well, it's all about people in the stock market. They'll predict something to go low so they can make money. They manipulate the system.
Yeah.
It's just simply, and then they make money off it. So they're like, and so Reddit got together, the guys on Reddit got together
and nuked
it they say there's more of us than them. They bought a bunch of it and nuked their plan for it to fail.
Yeah. And then they changed the rules midstream again, just like, go back to our,
yeah.
Like the slavery said, she's baptized, she's a Christian, so she can't be a slave.
Can't be a slave.
Then they rewrote it. So,
she's free in Christ. Yeah. That's the whole writing the rules. And that's, I think it's when we're going to bring it full circle. That's when we feel the injustice, is when you change the rules in the middle of the game. Just like my buddy.
And it's rewritten for the big dog. Just the one that has all the advantages.
And that's when you get the wiffle ball bat and you start hitting your friends.
That's right.
Right
Straight
there.
up, side to head.
You
ask my brother and my cousins. That's the way it went down.
That's why a lot of fights happen. You can't change the rules in the middle of the game.
7 years older than me, and my cousins were both a few years older than me. And man, we'd be roughhousing and stuff like that. They said, man, they knew when I got mad because I would bite my bottom lip and I wouldn't say a word and I'd just walk out of the room. And I would come back in with one of those yellow wiffle ball bats and just start.
You've had experience with wiffle ball bats.
Just samurai wearing people out, man.
Have you ever had a friend bite you? When you fought him?
Not in a scrap.
I'm going to call my buddy from high school, Adam Balashot, right now. He'll probably never listen to this, but he was a buddy of mine, but he always made fun of me. Like one time he made fun of me. He said, we had a cut down war, and he just was out of cut downs, and I was pretty good at him. I would just come back. I was just quick, got me in a lot of trouble, a lot of fights. And he said, well, at least my parents aren't divorced. I was like, are you really trying to hurt my feelings? like, yeah, your parents are together. Good job. Well, one time him and I got in a fight, and it was at my friend Ben's house, and we got in this real fight, and he bit me. Like he bit my arm. Like he just, and I was like, that's just against the rules of all rules.
Yeah, that's weird.
You're not allowed to bite people. It's animal. If you're in a real fight and you're really trying to kill the person, maybe, right?
Yeah.
But not if it's your buddy and you're just,
Or a ill-coached Mike Tyson.
That was a weird time. I watched a UFC fight where a guy bit a guy once. He got disqualified.
Yeah, I would hope so.
That's just, I don't know. People go to a dark place.
That'll be the next YouTube sensation. They have these slapping championships.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen
who can take
that?
the hardest bite,
gosh.
on their elbow skin or something where you can't feel it anyway.
A guy lost his finger this weekend in a MMA fight.
Lost his finger?
His finger was severed off. It got caught in the fence or something.
That's going to be a rework.
And yeah, and he put it back on, I believe, but I'm getting ready to watch it here in a little bit. It's on my UFC Fight Pass.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the fence has got to be a bad. One guy raked his eye on the fence. And I'm just like,
shoo.
I don't know.
They need to come up with something there then.
This guy recently won. I don't know. I'll go into this, but this guy recently won. It was a championship fight, and I can't remember their names right now. This is really bad for the podcast, but whatever. And this this guy had his hands down, and you can't knee people on the head when they have their hands down. You're not allowed to knee people on the ground or kick them on the ground in the head when their hands are at a certain place.
Okay.
So he's like knelt down, his hands are down, and this guy named the fighter Peter, his name's Peter Yan is his name. He was fighting this guy. His nickname's Funk Master or something. I forgot his last name. Anyway, so he says to his team in Polish or whatever. He's like, "Can I hit him? Can I knee him?" And his team was like, "Yeah." And he kneed him in the head. And then the other guy was on the ground. So this is a championship fight. The guy who got kneed in the head won the belt because he got kneed because it was illegal.
Because of the DQ move.
Because of the DQ move. Huh. So it was just like, I was like, wait a minute. And so now this guy's not taken seriously, and Funkmaster's not taken seriously. He's, I don't know, just getting real weird. I don't know. I could talk about MMA forever, but anyway, he was just looking at, in front of his nose. He'd been fine, I guess. I don't know.
Indeed.
But with that, we are going to end the podcast. You have a choice: love or no love. Thank you for listening to the Invisible Wires podcast. You can email us at invisiblewirespodcast@gmail.com. You can interface with us on Instagram at invisible_wires. We appreciate you listening, and we hope you have a great week.